On this episode of Chicago Beer Pass, Nick and I are joined by Chris Jacobsen to talk about his event Darkside, happening Sunday, February 24th at Emporium Wicker Park. All that and more on this week's episode. You these last 3 weeks of the week, what'd you make it to?
Yeah, because, you know, you get a cork popped out, boop, it just flies like fucking 10 feet. We're like, yeah, let's do it. The legend, Mr. Pete Crowley. I love Pete Crowley, man.
How's that beer? It's what you think it is.
It'll be like the stuff you hear. You ever go to, every time you go to Floyd's, all the music sounds like this. Raw, raw, raw.
Hey, and welcome to Chicago Beer Pass. I'm Brad Chmielewski.
Brad, what's up, man? I'm Nik White.
And returning guest for a second episode this week from us, too.
Yeah, right? Like, we're doing kind of almost back-to-back episodes. We were at Spiteful like almost 48 hours ago.
Mm-hmm.
We're back in the studio on a roll with these guests in 2019. I'm excited about that. Probably setting the all-time record here is
I know, right?
Frickin' Chris Jacobsen, Chicago Hardcore Craft Beer. What's up, man?
Not much. I'm glad. I'm happy to be back and doing my thing. And I don't know how many times is this now? Like 4?
Yeah, 4 or 5. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
so many we've lost count.
Tis the season, you know. Darkside's coming up, you know, and we're here to talk about that and other things.
Right, of course, other things. And I guess we always have to start with the beer we are drinking. Mm-hmm. So we got multiple things we're pouring right now. So
yeah, we got the pint glass, we got the stemless wine glasses.
Right, on the haze lighter side, we have the Tropical Witch from Half Acre, released a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, just in time for the Vortex.
Mm-hmm. All right. And then, Chris, what'd you bring us here?
A Bourbon Abominable, which is actually a barrel-aged winter ale from Fremont, which I believe they're out in Washington.
Seattle area?
Yeah, Washington State.
Seattle Earth. This is the 2012 one. It's got a nice little maroon wax on it.
Yeah, I've had that, obviously since 2012, but it's, I figured it was like a crappy day, and we're dealing with a lot of snow, so it makes sense. And it's dark, so it is a dark beer.
Yeah,
so why not?
It's got the winter Yeti on it.
It's tasting pretty good. It feels a little like maybe there was more there previously, but it doesn't taste like really infected. It just kind of tastes maybe not as big as it was.
Yeah, it's actually it's tamed a lot over this past 6 years. It's really good. I've loved this beer for a really long time. It's exceptional, fresh, but now, especially with some time on it, it's still very good. I kind of actually feel like it drinks a little bit easier. It's not as boozy.
Sure.
So it's a little bit easier to get down.
Yeah, it looks like it's a 15-year-old American oak, and then a blend of 7-month barrel-aged oak barrels.
So American oak and then barrel-aged oak? Wait,
yeah.
No.
Yeah,
Okay.
Barrel-aged oak. They put the oak in the barrels.
Did I say barrel-aged oak?
Yeah.
Fuck. Sorry, guys. A 7-month-old bourbon. Oh, they blended the beer. Okay.
Yeah, okay.
Got it.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
I haven't had much from Fremont. In general, I always hear good things, and people go to them a lot, but I don't, just being in Chicago, I don't often get to try them.
No.
Yeah.
I mean, I think I got this because a friend of mine went there and he brought some bottles back, and that's about it.
Mm-hmm.
I also have another friend that actually went there and he loved all their stuff. But yeah, I haven't had really much anything outside of their Dark Star, which is like a stout, I think, with coffee. And they also barrel aged that, but then also the bee bomb here. So
Yeah. They were at Half Acre's party.
Oh, okay.
They were at Gone Away. Far and Away.
Far and Away.
They were at Far and Away.
Nice.
the Tom Cruise film?
It was Far and Away a Tom Cruise film?
Yeah, with Nicole Kidman, actually.
Man, Nicole Kidman was getting it done back in her day. Getting it done. She had to be every bit of 6'3" with them heels on. Mm-hmm. It was quite nice.
Yeah.
So I guess it's fitting then we have the Half Acre beer with them. Perfect. Yeah. Nice. All right, so this past week, Nick, you got at it.
Yeah, man, we hit a couple breweries, man. Where did we go? We ended up at Makuzala. I hope I'm saying that right. Up in Wilmette. It's actually like Glenview border, right? So just North Burbs. It's a buddy of mine I work with was telling me that it's the family that owns Hackney's, and so it's right next to the restaurant, and they turned the facility where they like washed all the cloths for the tables and stuff. They turned that into a brew house.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's kind of strange because like you roll in and Hackney's is right here, the sign's off the street, and then you can order food, and then they just they wrap it up, they walk it right over. You can order everything from the Hackney's menu. Yeah.
Oh, cool.
So,
Okay.
I went to go check it out. Operation's probably about a year old now. They're doing straightforward like pale ales and IPAs.
And is this, you said off the train? Is it off the CTA train or the Metro train?
I was hoping it was off a train, but it's like actually like because Wilmette is where the Purple Line stops. His last stop's Linden and Wilmette.
Mm-hmm.
But this is actually like 6 miles due west from that stop.
Okay.
So it's really like right off the expressway, So
Is it near that little suburban tour you guys did? A few months ago?
No, what we did,
Okay.
we partied pretty hard that night. I forgot to tell you, I had a blast that night.
It was like, what, 5 stops? 6 stops in 3 hours?
I'm like, Chris, we should probably do 3. He's like, yeah, all right, so we're doing 5. And we hit like Crystal Lake and Scorched Earth are the 2 that pop out right away. And then Roaring Table. So I got 3. What were the other 2?
Well, we went to Duke's first.
And Duke's. We started at Duke's. And Duke's is really cool. That's the one off the train.
Okay.
Yeah. And then there was I'm missing the 5th. But
McGonagall's, and that was only because you missed the train.
Because we missed the train, so we went to this Irish pub after that.
Okay.
Yeah, that was good. That was a good night.
Yeah.
So that's a little more, this place was a little more north.
This is a little more, I guess this is just off 94.
Okay.
Yeah. So, yeah, right off 94, right? But it's North Shore.
North Shore.
So this is before you hit like Highland Park and Lake Forest.
Okay.
These are the towns before that.
Okay.
Yeah. So, that was a good start. We were so far west that I'm like, well, shit, how far are we from Hubbard's Cave? And it's like, oh, we're only 3 miles. So we're like, well, fuck it, let's roll.
Oh,
so
jeez, okay.
We landed at Hubbard's Cave too, Unani.
Mm-hmm.
My favorite beer there, usually it's the Hubbard's Cave stuff, but they had one. Man, I gotta pull it up. It had currants and vanilla, and it was so nice. It was one of the sours. It was kind of like had that really dark purple hue. When
I think
you
it
poured
was like one of the late Sewell or Seal or whatever.
It's one of the
It was
latest
like
ones,
a Grand
man.
Cru, Grand Reserve. I think I had that one because it was delicious.
We were talking about how well, I forgot the term you used, but it's like batch 5, version 14. Like they don't really stray at all. They don't really get into details with the names on this stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do they still have the skid marks on the floor when you walk in?
They still got the skid marks. There's a really cool use of the space because the barrel program's like you walk into the front door and there's enough room for 2 seats. Behind the 2 seats is 6 barrels. 6 barrels right when you walk in. And a full cubby hole from ceiling to floor of all their bottles you can buy.
And we were talking about them and Jerry after the Spiteful interview and how he did a good job pivoting from Belgian beer thing that he does really well just wasn't working, and he kind of went in more the sour and even the Hubbard's Cave stuff with the haze and the big IPAs, and it's kind of really made that brand what it is now. It might not be here.
I tell you, man, rest in peace, Beta-Brow, man. But, they had a brewer that had worked at Lagunitas, and I would ask him all the time, why didn't, can you get at least a couple runs of an IPA on? You got 13 handles, and, they just said, no, fuck you, it's a German beer hall. This is what it is, right? It's easy to just stick to your guns, but
right.
Yeah, Unani is a nice example of when you have to pivot, how do you do it,
Yeah.
So that's pretty cool.
Nice. Anything else stand out? Did you pick up cans? Of course, you and the lady love those haze from them, right?
No, man, I didn't even pick up anything, man. I was so, I was a little trash, man. This thing was called.
That was stop number 2 of your.
I'm trying to find the name of it, man. We're gonna get to it, man. It was really nice. But anyway, and then I ended up at what started all this was, hey, I haven't been to Temperance. It's one of the closest breweries to me. I never go to Temperance. Let's go to Temperance. It was Might Meets Right day.
Yeah.
At Temperance, and that's what got me out the house.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you went way to the suburbs first.
Closest
brewery to your house.
Might as well go.
Let's go far.
And then we'll make our way back.
And we'll bring it back. See, I'm glad we're all on the same page about this, man.
All right. So that Temperance, how was that?
Temperance was a packed house for Might Meets Right. You can get the 4-pack. And then you can try them all on draft.
Okay.
Yeah.
What were the variants?
Let's see. There's the OG, right? That's the Heaven Hill barrels, the Might Meets Right. And then there's La Sorpresa, which is like vanilla and cinnamon and spice, kind of a pastry thing.
Okay.
And then there were two more. One was a cherry almond biscotti with coffee. That was good. Ipsento coffee, and they were there pouring.
Nice.
And then the last one was a blueberry maple one.
Okay.
So 4 top, and then all the 4-packs were mixed 4-packs. Yeah.
Oh, that's kind of nice.
That was pretty cool. I like that.
What were the 4-packs running? 25?
No, they were 35. You can get 2 if you want. You could spend 70 on some barrel-aged beer.
$35 for a 4-pack.
For a 4-pack, yeah.
That's impressive.
How much were the pours going for?
A little more, little better. A little like seven
Okay.
for like what, maybe 6, 7 ounces. Something.
Okay.
About $1 an ounce.
Yeah, nothing too crazy. Yeah. Last time I went to Temperance was to see Slick Rick.
Okay.
That's the last time I went. So I'm like, dude, it's 2 miles away. I gotta
Were
go.
more people out for Slick Rick, or were more people out for Mike?
There was no room in this joint,
Okay.
like at all. Yeah. So it was really impressive turnout. Yeah. On the Might Meets Right, man. It caught. We were talking in the pre-show. It got on my radar because, like in 2014, the Boulevardier barrel-aged version, took a bronze at FOBAP, and I had it in line last year when I was waiting for more stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, hey, let's go check it out. Yeah. The blueberry maple was the most interesting one to me. Just as far as like being the most memorable one, right? Like big syrup and big fruit to go with everything else. But the almond cherry biscotti one, if you line them all up, you knew that you tasted the coffee first. You wanted to taste like biscotti and the cherry almond first, but you really it was coffee forward.
Okay.
Yeah.
Chris, is that something you run into for Darkside, like needing to find those big ones that have like the most memorable flavors that people are like either chasing or like walk away and be like, yeah, that one with blueberries and almonds was the best?
It's definitely changed a lot in the past couple of years because now that pastry stouts have become so big, everybody wants something different. Like if you come to the table with just a regular stout, people are like, where's the rest of it?
Yeah.
Which is it's sad to think about that. Like unless you're putting your entire pantry into your beer, people don't really care. So some of the stuff that we're going to do this year definitely takes that direction, but we also have some non pastrified beers. But definitely like you need to find those beers that are like, well, it's got 14 different ingredients in it. It's got to be good.
Right, and I could taste every one. Yes. Yeah, that gets because when you especially just 4 of them or your event where you're taking them with this whole tap list, it's like, they can. You have 14 different ingredients. Your palate gets racked very quickly.
Absolutely. I mean, it's like we as humans can only taste so much, especially when it comes down to beer. Like after 2 beers, our palates are pretty much, I don't know. I want to say beaten down, but we can only taste about half of what we should be able to. So like your first couple of sips is pretty much the best you're gonna have all day. So if you like, I could really taste that blueberry, like, no, you can't.
Right. So this is Nick's 3rd brewery stop of the
I'm
day.
like, where's all the stuff, man? I don't taste it. I got one at home, so I'm kind of curious to see how that holds up to when I had it.
If you remember it the same.
Correct. If I remember it the same.
Nice. Yeah. And then you made your way over to Spiteful, and
I saw you there, and Sergio.
This was our day 2 at Spiteful.
Yeah, so we blew the date. We thought, we planned for Friday, but we told them a date that was a Saturday. So we showed up on a Friday, and we had to go back and hit up a Saturday, which ended up being cool, though, because
Friday we went to Spiteful. We had a drink there, and then we went over to Alarmist for some haze and some tacos.
Yeah, 3-legged taco was there. That was cool. So that was a good time.
And we learned about their Love Juice.
Love Juice, yeah. So the juice, the gold medal winning Le Juice.
Yeah.
The haze. This will be the cask variant that has double dry hopped with tons of strawberry, tons of chocolate, and on cask for Valentine's Day.
Yeah.
Yeah. So actually, that doesn't sound bad at all. I'm not that far from.
There you go. You should check it out.
Don't sound bad.
You should definitely overshoot it by 50 miles first, and then you go back to it.
I should go to microphone first, and then on the way back,
There you
stop at alarm.
But yeah, then we went to Spiteful that night of your 4 brewery tours. Did our interview with Jason.
Yeah.
That episode turned out great. Check that out on our feeds and everything
Yeah,
like
I
that.
gotta listen. I'm gonna listen to that tonight.
think-
It was interesting, man.
We learned a lot afterwards that we needed to keep the mics rolling.
Chicago Beer Pass After
I've been
Dark,
saying that
man.
every time
I think
I'm
it
here.
started when you first showed up. We were
Every
saying
time.
that.
Let's like always be recording. Like some of the best stuff happens in the 15 minutes after we're done recording this.
Yeah, you just run into shady things about either people or dealing with the city that, you might not want out there.
I think they went from 400 square feet, which is still hard to imagine, but
400 square feet. That's
That-
the Spiteful, right?
That was
Yeah.
their
Yeah,
original,
It's a
yeah.
closet. I remember seeing it. I'm like, how do you guys even operate?
to like 7,000 square feet. And how they kept the old tanks, and they're running a lot of stuff off those, and then they got the full production. The lager is their top selling beer.
Yeah. And then you mentioned Beta Brow. We talked a little bit about them
Yeah.
afterwards, and we were talking about the rent at the Beta Brow location, and Jason couldn't even fathom the amount of beer that they would need to sell to meet the rent that was needed at that location. That was, yeah.
I really hope, and even he was saying like during the Illinois ICBG meetings, one of them was at Beta Brown, and everyone was kind of stunned at how gorgeous the space was. Like, I'm really hoping that something happens with that space, because it's such a cool space.
Well, there's a possibility that Stone was going to get in there and have like a
Yeah.
Stone World Bistro Chicago. I don't know where exactly that was, but what happened with that. But I know it went up for auction. I just don't know who got it.
I just hope it doesn't turn into like condos or something, because from just purely aesthetics, brewery space standpoint, it was really cool. It was a very cool space.
Yeah, I think condos would be weird because it's the hospital right there, right? It's the hospital?
Hospital is like a block or two away.
Right,
Yeah,
so
this is right off the expressway, 25th and Wabash.
it's probably not zoned for, or it'd have to, it just probably doesn't work for condos.
No.
But you never know what could happen.
So speaking of places and things opening up and whatnot, there's actually a place that opened up out by me
Right on.
last weekend.
Algonquin.
Well, this was actually in downtown Dundee.
Okay.
This place is called Black and Gray. Now, they were showing all these different beers that they were going to be tapping for like the day of. But when we got there, they had 6 beers on draft, which is good. They're all lighter beers though. So we had like a Belgian blonde, like a saison, a New England IPA, which they didn't do the water chemistry, so it wasn't really a New England IPA, but it was just a really juicy IPA. And no dark beers, which is weird because I kind of feel like that was a missed opportunity because it's cold. But
Because it's cold.
it's cold. It's February. But one of the things is like they don't really push the envelope much at
Black
all.
and gray.
Yeah. And some breweries that are coming out aren't doing that, which is totally fine. You don't have to be a microphone when you're putting like chocolate cake, Rice Krispie treats, doll hair.
Something like that every week. They're hanging their
Yeah.
hat on like really bizarre.
Just let's throw the kitchen sink in there. So I appreciate that, but at the same time, if you're gonna do those types of styles and you're just gonna be, a bare bones kind of brewery, you need to own it. You need to really do it well.
Crystal Lake would be a good example of that.
Crystal Lake does do it really well, and they are, for lack of a better term, very safe. They're
Sure,
a very
yeah.
safe brewery. They do some barrel aged stuff, and they also have a couple of fruited things here and there. But for the most part, it's very much straightforward beer.
Like us. The fridge brewery. I think that's what Spiteful called themselves. Like, we're the beer fridge. We're the beer fridge brewery.
Right, that's Spiteful's goal. That's kind of their MO too. It's like they are
there's-
guys who just like beer, so they want to have beer that tastes like beer.
Beer flavored beer.
There's a lane for that. There is a lane for that, to your point.
Yeah, and there should be.
Yeah.
I mean, it's honestly I made a joke on one of the groups this probably 2 or 3 weeks ago, where I actually took a glass of stout and I put 2 Swiss rolls in them, just full on, just in there, and I took a picture of it and I was like, pastry stouts these days be like, and everyone's like, oh, well, actually that looks delicious. And I'm like, well, yeah, of course it looks delicious, but whatever. And then I'm like, microphone's probably eyeing this post yeah, now we're talking. But honestly, you go to Microphone, or even some of these other breweries that put 14 ingredients into their beer, and it gets so cloyingly sweet. It's super viscous. It's almost like motor oil, and it's too sweet. You kind of you feel like you're drinking the milk left over after your cereal, but you've had like 10 bowls of cereal. It's just so rich.
Sometimes it's not fair. Sometimes it's not cool when it's like overly sweet.
Yeah. But, to each their own. I mean, obviously there's a market for that too. But one of my concerns with that, I mean, now that we're actually in flagship February, is that people are constantly looking for something crazy and fucked up like that. Like, they want, like, the next crazy thing. Like, what else you got? What else you got? And then you got to the point where a lot of brewers aren't even brewing beer that they want to anymore. It's based on what they
can sell,
want.
yeah.
And, I mean, obviously, at that point in time, you've got the whole, like, you want to brew what your market is going to purchase. But, what happened to, like, Founders brewed for us instead of, like, you determining what we're going to brew now. Like,
right.
I want a beer with zebra cakes in it. Someone's going to make it. Like, that's just weird. Like, and the fact that they're pushing breweries to come out with something new almost like every week or every other week to the point where these recipes aren't perfected.
Right.
So you get this beer that could be crap, but people are like, I don't care, it's new. And like, it's going to get to the point where it's just like, we got some unfermented wort if you want to suck on that too. But, it's getting a little out of hand.
It gets to the point too where a brewery could just change the name and call it something else, and you're not going to know because...
The Cupboard Cave?
Yeah, because I think they got into a rut where, like, the distributor didn't want them to be known. They're like, you're known for your Belgians and your sours, so don't bring us an IPA. And they disagreed, so they had to.
But you could just, you could name it number 2, or you just change the name completely. It's like, half the people probably didn't get a chance to buy it last week, so here it is again, new name, and a good portion of those people are probably going to buy it again, and. Yeah.
It's an interesting conversation. Like, do you keep brewing? Do you brew to what's trendy, or do you brew what you dig? Right? Because everyone's got these wacky beers on it. Like, I don't know if people dig these beers that they're making. I don't know.
Well, like this Tropical Witch is good, but I don't need more of it. Like,
I need more of this beer.
I'm fine.
There's a whole can,
right?
right?
There's a whole can of it. Like, I'm fine with it.
You did take some of this can, right?
That beer is great.
No, I'm saying, like...
Yeah, it's right here.
Okay.
No,
it's right here.
Because I poured the rest of it in there, and I'm like, there's no way in hell that glass is like 23 ounces, and it only filled it up halfway. Because, yes, you did take some. Okay, I'm like, just want to make sure I wasn't dying or going crazy. Or more crazy. Sorry.
But it's good. It just maybe doesn't stick with you years later where it's like, that beer was a defining moment, or like that one I remember, or the flagship February kind of thing. Like,
it'll always come back to the basics, right? Like, I think the first thing we did when we went to, speaking of Half Acre, and one of the first things we said was, hey, where the fuck is Gossamer, right?
Yeah.
And then even with, like, I think that it's Spiteful, that Malevolence Chocolate Caliente Stout, I mean, it's as good as anything I've had all year, but their top selling beer is a lager. Right, so I think it'll always come back to the basics,
Well, I think drinkers will always come back to the basics. I mean, think about your journey and how everyone else is kind of like, you started off kind of easing your way into beer, and then you're like, what's Dark Lord? And you're like, whoa. And then you go far into that spectrum, and now you just are like, give me a Pilsner, give me a Kolsch. Like, I'm digging on Pilsners and Kolsch's right now, and like, you want to impress me, give me a 100% awesome, like, pale ale. Give me a Pilsner that'll, rock me, that I can drink at 4.9% all day long and not get, like, hammered or feeling like, I'm dying. Like, you want a good
We're talking about death a lot in this show. Everything.
But that's what Jason mentioned. I don't know if it's on the podcast or afterwards. He said he goes to a place and he orders a Pilsner, like, or a pale ale. It's like, if it's a new place and you can't do that, I don't want your haze. I don't want your stout.
Yeah, I mean, anyone can fuck up a hazy beer and still make it taste good. Like, to brew a true to style like Pilsner or Pale or Kolsch, like Salamoth Lou, awesome Kolsch.
Yeah, they came up recently, and I was like, dude, Brad, every time Brad brings a Salamoth beer on the show, it's always money. Always.
Like, because those guys dial it in. They do it extremely well, and they're not trying to reinvent the wheel. They just make good beer.
Right.
Yeah. So that's what would impress me. Like, not necessarily getting in line for an imperial stout brewed with 700 pounds of coconut and 14 packages of Oreos. And even this, like, it's a double IPA with lactose, coconut, and vanilla. Well, I actually give Half Acre props for doing something like that because for the longest time I thought Half Acre, although makes great beer, is almost a little one-noted because like they all kind of have that like hoppy, floral characteristic. So many IPAs,
Right, little
like,
West Coasty.
yeah.
So I think with that sour program they're doing and some of this hazy stuff they're doing, trying to find a new voice even.
Yeah,
Maybe.
that's big for them, especially because they essentially converted the smaller brewery and dedicated to sours, if I'm not mistaken.
Sours and tacos.
Yeah, burritos.
Burritos, yeah. Burritos.
Wraps. Come on, they're wraps.
Yeah, they are. Honestly, I was really upset that they don't sell the breakfast burrito all week long. We need to change that. I need to contact someone. I want to write a letter. Who writes letters anymore? I'm not even.
Still,
No.
you gonna stick it in the suggestion box?
Yeah. A 14-page letter just crumpled up and stuck in there. This is why you need the breakfast burrito all week long.
I'm like, this is more than one page. We're done.
Yeah, someone's going to be like, the fuck?
That's what I would do.
Man.
One page. If it's one page, I'll read it.
Anything else you make it to, or is that it after?
Oh man, I think that was it, man. Yeah, Makuzala, Temperance, and Unani. Yeah.
Oh,
And,
Solid.
and Spiteful.
Yeah, twice.
Did you go
And
anywhere?
Spiteful twice.
Spiteful twice and Half Acre. Stopped in Half Acre. It's
And
right
an
next door.
Alarmist.
Oh, an Alarmist. So, yeah.
Alarmist, they changed their pantsless. Pantsless, which was their flagship, their pale ale. It had like 4 or 5 different, malts and hops, and it was reminiscent of, for me, Alpha King. But they changed it. Now it's like full on like.
Changed the hop note a
Now
little
it's
bit.
now it's like straight mosaic, and on cask it was crystal. Yeah.
Nice.
Good week. Good full week.
Standout favorite beer you had?
Man.
You drank a lot. Do you remember? In one day.
Yeah. I really liked Pantsless on cask, and I really liked Malevolence. I thought Malevolence was really good for them, especially after having like the corporate guy wheat wine and having the working for the weekend the double IPA and having the lager. For them to get out and do that Mexican hot chocolate thing and then nail it like with I've had so many syrupy, sweet stouts lately that I thought that just rolled the line perfectly for me.
Yeah.
Mouthfeel, body, and spices. It was nice.
Yeah, I didn't try that one. I stuck with the lager and the IPA. I did have the if it's too loud, turn it down.
Yeah, you had the brown ale. And that's when I got to thinking, like, man, these Spiteful boys are making like they're making straight up classic styles.
Yeah.
It's kind of it's refreshing, especially being next door to Half Acre like that.
That I think was my favorite in the like looking back. At the moment, I was kind of like, it's a brown ale, it's fine. But looking back, it's like, oh, that was good. I remember that more than maybe some of the other stuff I drank in the week. So
Yeah.
Spiteful's brown. Chris, what about you? Favorite thing you drank
What's the first thing that comes out when you think of that? The first
thing, like, favorite thing I drank?
this past week or
Well,
so?
okay, so every Monday night at my house, I have a bottle share, 7:30. I've been doing it for 9 years straight. Like, every Monday, 7:30, my house.
Jeez.
Yes. So last night, I had a Funky Buddha beer, which is, like, probably the second Funky Buddha beer I've ever had in my life. A friend of mine actually brought it back from Florida, and it was called the Love Below. And it basically it's an Imperial Russian stout that had it tasted to me like a cream saver. Like you ever had one of those like Lifesaver cream savers where it's like some sort of fruit, but it also kind of has like a creaminess to it. It's like a swirl design.
Oh yeah.
So this tasted like a chocolate covered cream saver. It was delicious. It was fantastic. It was really well balanced. Like, so I'm not a huge fan of cherry in my beer, especially my stouts, because that to me is like, if I taste cherry, it kind of is reminiscent of it being infected.
Right. Okay.
So I'm generally like, you give me a stout with cherry, I'm gonna say no, unless like it's really good, because it's either super medicinal or it's completely.
That's kind of like everything. No, I don't want that unless it's really good.
No,
Hey man,
well,
if this
because I've had some really bad
this
cherry
bottle
beers.
look good, man.
Really bad cherry beers. Like I usually don't like it.
Cherry is the culprit more than other fruits. I will
Yes.
agree with that.
So I mean,
Cherry, it's easy to cherry.
I like
some sucky cherry beers.
I like
man.
cherry in like sours, but or anything maybe lighter, but especially in stouts. That's number one thing. That's like this just reminds me of an infected stout.
Okay.
So it has to be really good in order for me to like it. And this was actually really, really well balanced. It's got to be. Shut up! It's true. I'm not gonna like it unless it's good.
Okay, fair enough.
But anyway, it's really, really fantastic. It's well balanced. It's got a good chocolate note. It's got a little bit of like booze. It's creamy. It's very smooth on the mouthfeel. It was a fantastic beer, and that was
Nice.
probably my most loved beer probably of the last week because it was just fantastic.
Love Below.
Yeah, the
Nice.
Love Below.
Love.
Great name.
Yeah. Cool. All right. So coming up, Darkside.
Yeah, man. I think there's, we enjoy seeing you, but
I enjoy seeing you too.
a big reason we have you on is because you throw this killer winter party every year, man. Just like a couple weeks after the Super Bowl at Emporium, it's the kind of party that just makes sense. The kind of party where I'm like, man, I kind of wish I'd have thought of this fucking party. It's a good time. It's on a Sunday morning, and it's all dark beers, man. Talk about Darkside 2019, man. What can we expect, man?
Well, it's actually not in the morning.
It's not in the
starts
morning?
at noon.
Noon.
So it goes noon to 5.
That's still next morning.
Yeah,
no.
it's close enough to the
It's on
morning.
a Sunday. Yeah, that's
It's close enough. Honestly, I have to say, I came up with this idea back in 2012 now, because this is the 7th year.
Oh wow.
And honestly, it is like the only event that I do annually that I help plan and like produce. But I have to say, the people at Emporium like really make this thing happen. Like these guys, the staff, they always have all their bartenders there for that day. It's super crowded, super packed, but not like asses to elbows that you can't get around. We generally have about 250 people. Our capacity is 300, but I can't imagine having 300 people in there because it would be a little too tight.
Yeah.
If we ever do get to 300, great.
Now you're like standing on the stage.
Right,
standing
like
by the
it's gonna get a
bathroom.
little crazy. But so every year that people come, they always have a no trouble getting beer. It's pretty free flowing. But honestly, like the guys at Emporium, Jared, the beer buyer Eric, like the whole staff, the fact that they even have this facility, they have they redid the bar and the other room like where the pinball machines and stuff are. So it's like newly renovated over there.
Okay.
But they like kill it. And so I mean, yeah, I came up with the idea a long time ago. But if it wasn't for the fact that they exist and they were so cool about it, it would not even be what it is.
Right.
These days.
Okay.
And I like that it's at the original Emporium. Because the second location is more like can focused. Like, I don't even think they got taps at this.
No, they don't have any.
It's
I don't
just
think they have
can.
any.
That's kind of their.
Logan.
That's kind of their thing. Cans only.
Like we got cans only.
Except for the little pop up.
Oh yeah.
And the
next
pop-ups
door.
The pop-ups are really cool. They get really
Yeah.
fun. But yeah, the Darkside this year is going to be, just another one in the books. I think it's going to be great. We actually, I just finished the tap list today, so we're actually going to have a few things from Four Hands, the Madagascar, which is like a crowd favorite.
That's the one that kicks.
It's
Like
the first one that kicks every year. So we've got the regular Madagascar, and then we've got two of the brewery only stuff, which is Cocoa Coconut, and then the El Salvador, which is made with the coffee.
Yeah.
So we've got 3 versions of Madagascar that will all be on from get-go.
Jeez.
Nice.
We do have barrel-aged Imperial Pajamas from Beguile, but it is going to be pastrified. So we're going to spike it with some stuff. We haven't figured that out yet, but I mean, we've got about a week.
To be a special, like, just for that.
Just for that.
Okay. Nice.
So we also have Epic Big Bad Baptist on Nitro, which is another beer that has a lot of different things in it. It's a Mexican hot chocolate sort of thing, but never had it on Nitro, so I figured why not? We will have Founders KBS. It's one of my favorite barrel-aged stouts ever. We will have the Midnight Orange and
classic
the
right there.
Proprietors from the 2018 Bourbon County lineup. So we will have 2 BCS on
Prop is the only one that either I'm at a bar and it comes on too late, or I never saw it in bottles. Like I don't think outside of the party we went to, I don't think I've had prop since the first time I had it.
Okay.
So that's the chocolate. This year was chocolate.
Yeah, it's like
chocolate
triple
BCS.
chocolate.
Triple chocolate BCS.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah.
We'll have some half-acre animal print pecan pie and also half-acre benthic.
Mm-hmm.
We are going to have 2 different types of dino s'mores. We'll have regular dino s'mores and coffee dino s'mores. Perennial abraxas and perennial sump.
I'm going for that coffee dino s'more.
We're going to have 2 beers from Salamoth. We're going to have the barrel-aged Goldman, which is kind of like a Mexican hot chocolate.
Ooh, okay.
And then we also have the Crunch Dude, which is a salted caramel brown.
Mm.
So that's some stuff that was pretty unique that I really wanted to have out for this. We will have barrel-aged darkness from Surly. North.
Have you had that?
Barrel-aged darkness? No.
No, me either.
And then 2 brothers actually reached out to me wanting to be a part of this event, and so they brought out some brewery-only stuff. So there is a keg of the Northwind Imperial Stout with coconut, and then as a backup, we have Northwind Imperial Stout with coffee. And that was tap-only, brewery-only, so we were able to get a couple of kegs of those things.
Nice.
And then as a special treat, that's not all of them.
Oh,
but
that's not
a
even
few
the
things.
special stuff.
The special thing is like we're going to be doing on the renovated sidebar, pretty cool ice cream. You guys heard of that?
No.
Well, we're going to have 4 different Pipeworks kind of ice cream beers. So the Jones Dog Sundae, Spumoni, Jones Dog, Cookies and Cream, and then the Pothole City. And then pretty cool ice cream is actually going to have 4 different ice creams that were made with and to pair with the beers.
Nice.
And that'll be available on the other side by the on the other bar.
Okay.
So it's going to be a little bit different this year. We're
man,
trying to
this
do
is,
something that we've never done before, and like the guys at Emporium set up the whole pretty cool thing, and so it sounds fun. It's going to be interesting.
Yeah.
It's going to be a good time.
Yeah. That does sound pretty cool. It sounds like you've got I didn't mean to do that.
Got in your head.
It's pretty cool.
You got some experience with you were talking about what was it, flannel pajamas where you're gonna like pastry fry it. I want to say we went to a party at like Fountainhead where you set up. I think you were behind like their whole idea for the night, right? Where it was like take these stouts and then make kegs and then make drinks on the spot, essentially, right?
Yeah. So that was actually Beguile and Cletus, who was the chef at the time. They make a Schwartz beer. That's pretty much essentially a dark beer. And so then they wanted to spike it for the 8 days of Hanukkah.
That was it. Yeah.
Every single time, every night, you open up a new candle of like the menorah, and you have every single night prior available as well. And then the last night was the barrel-aged version. So you had 8 different variations of this beer that you can have. And usually we were infusing it with something different, whether it was like a s'mores version of it, or it was going to be, like chipotle pepper and chocolate, or straight up just regular coffee, whatever it might have been. Like it was straight up just to experiment with adjuncts in beer, which I've been doing for years. But now everybody's doing adjuncts in beer on a large scale. Yeah. So that was kind of one of the bigger things that we did, because it was a week, like an entire week-long event. Yeah. And I was there every night, which was pretty crazy.
Did you go to it, or did we talk about it last time? I feel like
I was there.
You were there about 2 years ago.
Okay.
I think 2 or 3 years ago you were there.
Yeah.
And then we actually talked about being on the show while we were there.
Yeah. I do like Fountainhead.
Yeah, Fountainhead's a great beer program.
Fun spot.
Yeah, nice. So, how much are tickets? You still get tokens, right?
Still get tokens. The first 200 people are going to get, a bag with a hardcore craft beer bottle opener. You get your taster tickets, tokens, and tickets pre-sale are through next Saturday for $30.
Okay.
And then tickets at the door are full price at $40. And so I'm trying to get people to understand, save some cash, get your tickets now. Let's go. Because when you show up at the door, it's $10 more. Just if you plan on coming out, just get them now.
Right.
Just save some money.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What beer are you most excited for on your lineup here?
Kronbacher Pills. No, I'm joking.
Got that Kronbacher.
Honestly, I'm not really sure. I think for the majority of it is probably going to be the 2 half acres and then the 2 Salamoths. I can't really choose between the 2 because I've never had either of those 4.
The animal print, yeah.
And
I'm curious about that.
they're pretty exclusive beers, and so I'm really looking forward to trying those too.
Because they do an animal print, but they don't do that one. Like, you know, I've seen animal print over the summer, but I didn't see like a variant on animal print over the summer. So.
And my favorite of all time is usually all of the Madagascars. So I definitely want to try the three variants, like this year's version of Madagascar, and then the Cocoa Coconut, and then the El Salvador, just because it's a fantastic beer, and get it before it kicks.
That's actually how I got like familiar with Four Hands as a brand, was going to these parties.
Okay.
I wasn't really on that page at all.
That what's the orange one? The like it's like a 4% orange zest one. That
Oh yeah. I don't remember what that's called.
that one is just
It's
like
not citywide, but I know.
it's
I know
such like a good summer beer.
Mhm.
From Four Hands?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's just like a nice warm weather. Yeah, I can't remember the name of it, but it's really good. Yeah.
It was so good, I forgot the name.
Yeah, that's so good. I forgot the name. Yeah.
Yeah, but before we go, man, let's get into a little bit about Chicago hardcore craft beer, because you were saying you throw these parties, you know, at like the one at Fountainhead. You've been doing this kind of stuff for years, and I don't know if we know you, but I don't know if we talked on the show about like the kind of stuff you do in the beer industry and like the inspiration for hardcore craft, and like just some of the things you get down with, man. Let's talk about that a little bit.
Well, it's a lot of it started back when in 2010, when I was really kind of getting into craft beer, and I kind of had no direction. I didn't know where to go. It's like anybody stepping into the new shoes of a place and being like, everything just seems fantastic. I just don't give me a direction.
I know that feeling in 2010.
So I want to give people direction. So like the whole concept was to educate people on what the craft beer industry has to offer, doing events that not only showcases the beers that are out there, but also specific locations. So the very first Darkside that we did was actually the very first year that Emporium was open. So I thought it was a cool concept. At the end, the last Saturday of every year, or the last Saturday of every January, I always have a video game party at my house that's like 12 hours long, and it's a bunch of beer, a bunch of junk food, and I figured like it would be really cool to make a beer event out of this, but then focus on one type of beer. And especially with dark beers, a lot of people don't really know too much about them, or they're scared of them, or they don't know where to begin. So this was a great opportunity to get some of the best stuff that's available for you to come try without having to like drop $10 on a bomber, or $16 on a 4-pack or a 6-pack, whatever it might be.
Or go to a bar and just drink the same brewery's different variants all night.
Right.
Like a Rev night or a Goose night at Monk's Pub or something.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So hardcore craft beer pretty much started with the want to educate consumers on what's available out there, and also just throw some kick-ass parties. So as my usual gig, I'm also a marketing and designer. I'm a graphic designer, and so I do a lot of stuff within the beer industry as well. I've worked with in importers, like artisanal imports, so everything from like La Trappe, Triple Carmelite, Quack, even stuff within town like Weiner and Dovetail. Nice. I've done a lot of stuff with Stone.
That's the first party I went to, was a Stone party at Timothy O'Toole's.
Mm-hmm. That was back in 2012. And honestly, like it's one thing that kind of leads to another, and I've been doing design work within the beer industry for a long time, whether it's been marketing, event promotion, event production, label design, logo design, doesn't matter what it is. It constantly kind of feeds itself. And so being plugged in, everybody knows that I speak the language. So if you need a logo design, you need a label design. I also know the parameters of the TTB, what needs to be on the label.
Okay.
I've done a lot of stuff for some breweries up in Michigan. I'm also brewing at a place up in Michigan. I do some brewing. So Antithesis is my project.
Yeah. I want to say you brought Antithesis last time.
One of the times.
Yeah, one of the times.
2 times ago, yeah.
One of the few times that I've been here.
Yeah, it was kissed. It was a kissed with a barrel. It was like really flash, like 4 months in a barrel, something like that.
Yeah, that was probably our dour. That was our Imperial Stout and rye barrels. So I'm very involved in that, and so I've worked with different bars on their beer program. I've been able to put together and help with getting them something specific, throwing different events, trying to get and shine some lights on what they could possibly do, upping their craft beer program to get them. I mean, no one out in the burbs is ever going to be like, you know, a Fountainhead or something in Chicago because there's just not enough traffic.
Yeah.
But if you can find a place out there that can be that, or I can grow that out there, that's kind of where my thing is. Like, there's so much stuff going on in the city.
But there are some gems out there. We talk about that all the time.
Mhm.
Like, you can go out there and find some spots that are fantastic regardless of where they are. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's kind of a marriage between my design and my marketing ability, as well as my love of beer and wanting to like help influence people in bars and locations onto, you know, what good beer is, shine some light on where people need to go. Like, especially like when you come out to me, I'm like, well, we're gonna hit all these places, you know, depending on how much time we have. And so I can do that instead of being like, I don't know, we have a Benny's.
I got right on. I don't think we got it on the show before, like what you actually do. So I did want to talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, I usually say the list of what I can't do is probably shorter, because a lot of people come to me with just random projects too. I actually have one of my clients actually left his company and is now starting a beer brand, and so I'm doing all of his label, packaging, promotional stuff, everything
Nice.
for that, just because he's worked with me before. And I still do merchandise and stuff like that for Stone. I do a lot of other things. Like Metallica just came out with the Enter Night stuff with Stone. So I was there for their 2 kickoff events up in Milwaukee and Madison.
Fucker got to go see Metallica like
Two times in 48 hours. It was insane.
Crazy.
But I did the promotional stuff for that. I did the shirts. I did the new Enter Night shirts. All passed through Lars and the band, and also through Stone. So it's been a roller coaster. It's been fun though. It's been like really good projects, and so no complaints.
Like to hear about beer stuff, Brad.
Yeah,
Right on.
that's awesome. No, great hearing your story. Great event. Darkside coming up. Everyone should get tickets Saturday.
Yes.
Are you coming?
I should come finally. I
should
keep
come.
saying I should go, and then
it's
I
right where you live,
and then I get
man.
lazy on Sunday, and then I don't come.
Yeah.
It's so this is Emporium Wicker
Fail, I
Park.
fail every year.
Emporium Wicker Park. What's the date again for Darkside?
It's the 24th.
All right.
So Sunday the 24th from noon. They open at noon, so you know we there's always a line. You don't necessarily have to be in line, but it usually takes about 20 minutes to get through the entire line. Antique Tacos right next door. Great place for grub while
Yeah.
you're there. Yeah, $30 pre-sale tickets online all the way up until about 11 o'clock on the 23rd. So we give you every possible chance to save that $10 and get the pre-sale price.
But that's 40 at the door, right?
40 at the door.
Okay.
Right on.
Nice. Great lineup. More beers than we mentioned here, so check that out. So, but where can people find more about it? So we'll have a link, website.
Facebook, hardcorecraftbeer.com. The first thing on the scrolling page is the Darkside graphic. Don't find me on Twitter. Not on Twitter. I do post a couple things about Instagram. Emporium is posting a lot about it. They've got their co-hosts on the event page. There's information anywhere as long as you find either Emporium Arcade Bar or Hardcore Craft Beer.
Nice.
Just find one.
All right. Nick, where can people find you, get in touch when we're not here?
Right on, man. I'm on Twitter at Nicosio.
And Chicago Beer Pass is on Twitter at Chicago Beer Pass. Website chicagobeerpass.com. Everything gets posted there. 2 episodes this week. I'm on a roll. We got Josh from the Kankakee Journal next week.
Yeah, Josh is coming up from Kankakee to talk Brickstone and other stuff on the edge.
Mainly Brickstone, because
Mainly
he lives there.
Hmm?
Yeah.
And all the stuff on the outer edge, on the outer realm of our area.
Anything that takes you having to stop at a rest stop to get there.
I gotta
he
tell you.
covers.
Yeah. Well, have you guys ever been to Distill? Speaking of stopping at rest stops to get there.
normal.
I haven't. No.
No.
That is out there. I mean, usually I stop there when I'm on my way to St. Louis.
St. Takara.
I haven't been to Bloomington since friends graduated college.
Yeah.
So I haven't been in a long time.
I honestly was on my way to St. Louis and I stopped off because I had to take a piss, and I was like, "What is that?" And I was like, "That's the still, and it's huge." And so I stopped in there, and the facility was fantastic. I mean, it's humongous. The barrel room, like you can look through the door into the barrel room, and it just goes on for like a mile. Everything there, the food looked great. I didn't eat there, but the whole experience was like amazing. But it's one of those places like I wouldn't have known where exactly it was, and nor would I have been there if I wasn't already on a trip and I also had to stop off at a rest stop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But they were the darling of the beer world with their sours for like
Oh, dude,
a
between
couple
the,
years
between
there.
the Saint Decara stuff and the Dos Vidonia, dare I say, underrated breweries down there in Normal or wherever the hell they are.
They do
Yeah.
some
They're
fantastic
really
stuff.
good, man. I like Distill a lot.
In the deep south.
The deep
The
south.
deep stuff. That's actually if it was only that deep.
All right, we'll be back with that episode with Josh next week. Take care.
Cheers.